If you were here on the island yesterday, you know what the main story is about: weather. Tourists evacuated by rubber boat. Dozens of tourist accommodation submerged in flood in Legian and all over the island. We'll get to that. Searching villas and THMs. THMs are entertainment venues. Bali BNNP officers find foreign nationals having an immoral party, and dozens of people test positive for narcotics. Stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is December 23rd, 2024, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Well, thank goodness it is not raining, at least up here in Singaraja. It is sunny. There's some clouds. The temperature is 30.3 degrees Celsius. The humidity, 71%. Wind speed is really gusty, 19.4 kilometers per hour. And, well, it is so nice that it's not raining today. Yesterday, it started raining at 6 o'clock in the morning, or at least when I got up, it was raining. And it went on nonstop and heavy, heavy rain all the way up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I didn't see any flooding on the streets. We were out driving around yesterday we had to do some things. And no floods up where we were, but wow, rain. And so we're going to talk about that. The weather report is that we are going to continue to have bad rain into the new year. And so you need to be careful, and we'll talk about that coming up. And if you celebrate the holidays here, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. I hope you have a good time wherever you are. Okay, let's get started with the weather first. Tourists evacuated by rubber boat. Dozens of tourist accommodations submerged in floods in Legian. Heavy rain that poured in Legian, Kuta, Badung areas since Saturday until Sunday caused severe flooding in several areas. Dozens of villas, hotels, restaurants, and cafes were submerged in water, while a number of tourists and residents were forced to be evacuated using rubber boats. This flood lasted longer because the seawater was high, slowing the flow of river water into the sea. In the flood-prone areas, water levels reached up to 75 centimeters in some places. Community leader Wayan Puspa Nagara attributed the flooding to the conversion of former rice fields, which served as water absorption areas, into residential, commercial, and industrial zones, drastically reducing their ability to absorb water. Additionally, sedimentation in the Tukadmati River and inadequate water channels further worsened the situation. Puspa Nagara highlighted the need for extensive construction of water channels on all roads in Legian, noting that 22 roads currently lack proper culverts. The local authorities, including BPBD Badung and Bala Wista, deployed rubber boats for evacuations, primarily targeting tourists, checking in or out of accommodations, and employees in the area as well. To address the recurring flooding issue, proposed measures include regular dredging of sedimentation in the Tukadmati, constructing culverts on the 22 roads in Legian, and building a diversion channel from Tukad Taba to Tukad Badung to alleviate the water flow burden on Tukadmati. Puspa Nagara emphasized the necessity of long-term solutions due to the area's transformation from rice fields to residential and commercial uses. Of course, nobody thinks about this when they continue to build hotels and villas and restaurants and cafes. Legian village head Putu Eka Martini confirmed the flooding affected several locations near the Tukadmati River Basin, including Jalan Nakula, Pandawa, Dewi Sri, Champungan, and others. The floods inundated the recently renovated village office and various properties. Authorities have deployed pumps for water extraction and advocated for continuous sedimentation, dredging, and the addition of river height barriers to prevent overflow. Ketut Merdeka, head of emergency and logistics at BPBD Badung, reported evacuations in several lake locations due to waist-high water levels. Multiple agencies, including the police and Bala Wista Badung, assisted in the evacuation efforts using rubber boats. The Bali Provincial BPBD, led by Made Renton, recorded several weather-related disasters across Bali, including falling trees, floods, landslides, collapsed buildings, but no reported fatalities as of now. Renton urged the community to enhance disaster preparedness as Bali enters the rainy season, according to the early warning of the Weather and Climate Report. The Gianyar Tourism Office, headed by Iwayan Sadanaputra, has warned tourists to exercise caution when traveling in Ubud and has coordinated with local disaster management agencies to mitigate the impact of adverse weather conditions. Overall, the flooding highlights the critical need for improved infrastructure and proactive measures to manage natural disasters in Bali's increasingly urbanized area. The Gianyar Tourism Office has warned tourists, both domestic and foreign, to be careful when traveling in the Ubud area because of bad weather. The less than friendly weather has caused many trees to fall and landslides in Gianyar, including in Ubud itself. Dispar Gianyar conducted special supervision amidst the bad weather. They coordinated with the Gianyar Regional Disaster Management Agency to anticipate the impact of bad weather. Head of Gianyar Tourism Office, Iwayan Sadanaputra, said the anticipation was done so that a disaster like the monkey forest disaster would not happen again. And there are reports all over the island about fallen trees and landslides, houses destroyed, roads blocked. It is just a major flooding, of course. Was just a mess yesterday. Okay, and what about the second main story? Searching villas in THMs, Bali BNNP officers find foreign nationals having immoral party and dozens of people test positive for narcotics. Well, the numbers here, just for the people tested positive for narcotics, it's not actually dozens. It's more like 13, I think, or so. Just over a dozen. The Bali Provincial National Narcotics Agency, that's BNNP, conducted searches of villas and nightlife entertainment venues, that's the THM, in the Canggu area, North Kuta, Badung, Bali. From the search, a number of people were found suspected of being positive for narcotics, and dozens of foreign tourists were holding an immoral party. And one news report, it just said a naked party. A little more salacious. The joint operation was led directly by the head of Bali Province BNN and involved 64 personnel and 2 Bali tracking dogs. This operation was carried out to maintain security and order ahead of the Nataru period, especially from the threat of drug abuse and illicit trafficking that has been carried out. In this joint operation, BNNP Bali had several agencies working with it, including Polda Bali and Res Narcoba, Polda Bali, and a number of other ones. The targets of this joint operation had previously been mapped by the Bali Province BNN intelligence team based on information from the public. Based on the inspection at the location through early detection with urine tests on security guards and employees, as well as several visitors at THM, the number of samples tested for urine was 11 people, with the results of 5 people being positive for K2, a synthetic drug containing psychoactive ingredients such as marijuana, benzo, and THC, and 1 other person being positive for benzo, according to Brigadier General Rudy. In this joint operation at a villa in the Canggu area, the joint team allegedly found the remains of a sex party carried out by dozens of WNA foreign citizens at that location. Due to this incident, the team conducted a search involving canine sniffer dogs and random urine tests on 8 foreign nationals. The results showed that 7 people tested positive for benzo, 1 person tested positive for THC. In addition, during the search, suspected narcotics were also found: a clip containing white powder, a package of brown powder, and a package of dry leaves suspected of being marijuana. Based on these results, the suspects and evidence suspected of being narcotics were taken to the Bali Provincial BNN office for further processing to determine whether they were involved in narcotics crimes or merely addicts or abusers of narcotics. This joint operation is not to scare or disturb the comfort of visitors or tourists. This activity is solely a form of supervision of drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Hopefully, through this operation, entertainment venue managers and villa owners and local village officials can protect their environment from the illicit circulation of narcotics so that the community can be protected and safe from the threat of narcotics. So if you are out at some of these entertainment venues, you need to be careful, especially if there's drug use going on, because they may be targeted during this holiday period. And likewise, if you're planning on having a sex naked party, probably wouldn't do it at this time. Happy holidays. And some more on weather. And I'm talking about this one specifically because several foreigners were injured and, well, it can serve as a warning, I hope. Fallen tree in Tabanan hits power cable, injures foreigners. The Tabanan Regional Disaster Management Agency, BPBD, moved a fallen tree on Sunday on the Denpasar-Gili-Manuk route, precisely in Banjar Bonian, on Top Village. The roadside shade tree fell due to strong winds. The evacuation also involved PLN because there were electric cables that were caught. This is according to the head of Tabanan BPBD. He said the fallen tree that occurred happened in the morning around 9 o'clock, and it was not long before it was successfully moved out of the way, but it did cause a slight traffic jam. He said this was especially because, well, you had the tree, and because it was raining at that time. Another incident that occurred was a tree falling in other locations, such as on the road to Nyani Beach in Kandiri. Pagiri said that as a result of the fallen tree, 2 foreign nationals riding a motorbike who happened to be passing by the location were hit by a fallen tree branch. The 2 foreign nationals suffered minor injuries to their hands and feet and received treatment at the nearest regional hospital and then returned to their home. He hoped that people will be more vigilant when going out of the house during rainy conditions, especially rain accompanied by wind, because it's prone to cause falling trees. If possible, postpone the departure until the weather is better, he said. And I've mentioned this before, cannot stress this enough. Wow, when it is windy and raining, you've got to be careful because trees fall, things get blown around, and people, well, when we were out yesterday, people were still zipping down the road with the rain just pouring down. So take care. Take care during these windy, rainy times. And as I've said before, go find a nice place to hang out, a bar, a restaurant, or just stay home, watch Netflix or something. Okay, and here is an interesting one that got in the news. And well, I like it because, one, it's just down the road from us, and 2, it shows that actually some people get busted for littering. Caught red-handed littering. Kajanan village resident fined 500,000 rupiahs. A resident of Kajanan village in Bulaling was tried at the Singaraja district court for violating Bulaling regional regulation. The man received a punishment for his action of littering. The first trial and verdict for the minor crime was held this past Wednesday. There was 1 judge and 2 witnesses who provided corroborating testimony regarding the perp's actions in littering. The judge stated that the defendant had been proven legally and convincingly guilty of littering. This violates Regional Regulation Number 6 of 2018 concerning waste management. The defendant was sentenced to a fine of 500,000 rupiahs, or if the fine was not paid, imprisonment for 3 days. It's known that the perp dumped garbage in the LC area in Bhaktisaraga village, and he did this Wednesday around 6 o'clock in the morning when not that many people are around, I guess. But his actions were discovered by a resident who reported it to the Bhaktisaraga village office, who then forwarded it to Bulaling Regional Satpol PP. Good for them. Due to this, the Bulaling Regional Satpol PP team, together with representatives from the village office and the Bulaling Environmental Service, visited the perp, who was known to live in the Kaliuntu area. Okay, so he's from Kajanan, but I guess he's living in Kaliuntu. At that time, the defendant admitted his actions in the area. At the same time, his ID card was temporarily confiscated by Bulaling Satpol PP for going to court and being tried for his minor crimes. Okay, that is it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Take care, and I will see you next time.